Two Americans, Renée Good, Alex Pretti. Both were U.S. citizens. Both were killed by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis in January 2026. And their deaths have sparked a disturbing national question. How often are U.S. citizens being caught up in immigration enforcement? Because under the law, immigration enforcement is supposed to target non-citizens only. But investigations show American citizens are being detained, arrested, and sometimes violently confronted during ICE operations. The data. Americans detained by immigration authorities. Investigative reporting has identified at least 170 confirmed cases of U.S. citizens detained by immigration agents in the last year or so. These cases were compiled by journalists because the federal government does not systematically track how many citizens are detained during immigration enforcement. Another review of federal enforcement data found that between 2002 and 2017, more than 1,400 arrests by immigration authorities involved people who were likely U.S. citizens. Some of these Americans were handcuffed, interrogated, transported to detention facilities, or held for hours, days, or even weeks before officials confirmed they were U.S. citizens. Recent high-profile cases. The issues gained national attention in January 2026. On January 7th, Renée Nicole Good, a 37-year-old U.S. citizen, was fatally shot by an immigration agent during an enforcement operation in Minneapolis. The shooting occurred during a massive federal crackdown known as Operation Metro Surge, which deployed thousands of immigration agents into the city. Just weeks later, on January 24th, Alex Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse at the Veterans Affairs Hospital, was shot by federal agents during protests connected to the same enforcement operation. Both deaths triggered nationwide protests and investigations. So who is being affected? Investigations and lawsuits show cases involving many types of Americans, including U.S. military veterans, elderly citizens, people with disabilities, Native Americans, individuals with serious medical conditions. Some were detained during neighborhood raids or workplace operations. Others were mistaken for undocumented immigrants. And many were simply present during enforcement actions while officers attempted to determine immigration status. Racial profiling. Allegations are abound. They're supported by many lawsuits filed by detained citizens involving Latino U.S. citizens who say they were targeted because officers assumed they were undocumented immigrants based on appearance, language, or ethnicity. Civil rights lawyers argue that aggressive immigration enforcement has increased the risk of racial profiling during street encounters. Arrests during protests and filming. A large number of documented cases involve U.S. citizens arrested while observing or protesting immigration enforcement. Investigations identified roughly 130 Americans arrested after being accused of interfering with immigration operations. Many were filming raids, documenting arrests, or participating in protests, and in many cases, charges were later dropped or never filed. Why is this happening? Experts point to several structural reasons. Number one, the massive scale of enforcement. ICE makes tens of thousands of arrests each year. Number two, community arrests operations increasingly occur in neighborhoods and workplaces rather than only in jails. Number three, data-driven targeting enforcement relies on databases, surveillance systems, and shared law enforcement records that may contain errors. Number four, identity verification in the field. Officers must determine citizenship quickly during encounters. The constitutional question. These incidents raise serious legal questions. Under the Fourth Amendment, citizens cannot be detained without probable cause. Under the First Amendment, Americans have the right to protest and document government activity. Courts are increasingly being asked to determine where immigration enforcement ends and where the constitutional rights of U.S. citizens begin. The deaths of Renée Good and Alex Pretti forced the country to confront an uncomfortable reality. immigration enforcement is expanding into American communities. And when that happens, the consequences can sometimes reach beyond undocumented immigrants. They can reach U.S. citizens themselves. How the country resolves that tension may shape the future of immigration enforcement for years to come. I'm Richard Herman, immigration lawyer. Thanks for watching.